an incredible experience at Showw Restaurant here in Amsterdam. 10
Yes,
out
we
of
did.
10 would highly recommend.
Highly recommend.
Yep. Hey everybody,
Hey.
welcome back to the channel. We recently came back from our trip to Europe, and in today's video, we want to talk about our experience at Restaurant Showw in Amsterdam. We had a bucket list of things to do in our time here living abroad and our travels that we wanted to go visit some Michelin star restaurants. We got a chance to visit 2 in London, and the last one we visited was Restaurant Showw in Amsterdam, which honestly kind of took the cake, so to speak, as far as experiences go. So we arrive at Restaurant Showw. The restaurant, very welcoming from the time that we walked in. The gentleman opened the door, took us directly, he found our reservation, took us directly to our seat. And before I even get to that, LaShawn, you want to go over the reservation process real quick?
If you look at on the Michelin star website, it lists a number of restaurants, Michelin star restaurants, wherever you're going, what location. Like, so if you're going to New York, you can find a list of Michelin star restaurants in New York. So I went online to see if there were any in London and Amsterdam. Restaurant Showw was not our first choice, but the other ones that we wanted to go to were fully booked. You have to put down €100 to reserve the location. Your reservation.
Once we get there, like I said, they find our reservation, take us to our table, and it's right next to a window. First of all, the tables and chairs. That's where the experience really started off like, okay, this is really nice, because the chairs were those kind of big, almost like a lounge chair, but you can sit up straight in it. It was cushioned, and it was just a really nice chair that swiveled. In between the two chairs, and since we were just a 2-person reservation, they actually set our chairs on sort of on one side of the table so that we were fairly close to each other, not directly across from each other. There was a little cushioned stool in between the tables. So like for LaShawn, she was able to just set her purse on it, or whatever you wanted to set on it, rather than when you go to a lot of restaurants, you have to set something on the floor or another chair or something like that. It's almost like they thought of everything before you even walk in. It also makes sense because later on in this experience, you're going to have people coming up and, like the sommelier, telling you about different wines and where they come from and everything. He's got to have somewhere to stand. And it's not in between you guys, it's in front of you guys, because our chairs were pretty much next to each other on one side of the table. We weren't expecting the level of service that they had at this restaurant. We were expecting it to be good because the previous 2 Michelin restaurants that we went to in London, service was pretty good. Food was fantastic. So when we got to Restaurant Showw, we had kind of an idea what we were going to get. We were completely wrong. It was way better than we expected. Of course, when you go to your table, someone pulls your chair out for you. They set your napkin. Of course, they fold it and everything. Okay, that seems pretty normal. But then they start bringing out they ask about the menu. They're going to bring it out and say, okay, we're going to choose the tasting menu or the a la carte menu and the wine pairing menu, or if you just want the wine menu itself, which came out on an iPad. Once you make your choice, then that's when the experience really begins. Because before we got our first course, they were bringing us these, free complimentary courses. One was, I have a picture of it. I'll show it here. And it was like
It was an egg roll.
okay, that had, I want to say trout roe on the top of it. One bite, it was fantastic. Like, okay, this wasn't included in the course that we paid for. We paid for the tasting menu, the 5-course tasting menu, not the 6-course tasting menu. And then they brought out another dish. I don't remember what that one was. So before our main course, they brought out a small treat, and it was an ice cream. I think it was vanilla ice cream. I can't remember. It was wrapped in like what's that stuff? Is it nori? Seaweed?
Mm-hmm.
And it had wasabi on it. Sounds crazy, but that combination was absolutely incredible. It was so good. I'm really upset that I didn't even take a picture of it. And that was before our menu had even started. So fast forward a little bit, we decided, like I said, to go with the tasting menu, and we also got the wine pairing to go with it. So before the courses actually began, the sommelier came out. Really cool guy, really nice guy. He was pretty funny. And he explained that The way they were going to do the wine pairing is that they're going to bring out a wine for us that we could taste before the course actually started. Then we'd have a chance to taste the course with the wine. After that, he'd come back and explain where the wine came from, why it was chosen for this pairing, all the notes and stuff that I don't pay attention to when it comes to wine that,
He doesn't.
some people do, whatever.
He explained all the spices that were in the wine.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Steve was already sipping.
Yeah, and the region that it came from and everything about the wine. Not long after that, we get our first
Course.
wine pairing and course. The wine came out first, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So one unique thing about this restaurant that was different for us is that there were two of us at the table, and every time we got served anything, there were two people doing it. When the wine came out, there were two people coming with the wine glass, and they were twirling it, letting it breathe or whatever.
Your voice had to change. When you
Stuff I don't really care about. I know people care about that.
You do need to let it breathe so you can get the actual taste.
Anyway, they would set your wine glasses down, and at the same exact time, they must practice this a lot. They set it down the same time, and then they walk away and let you taste the wine.
Mm-hmm.
Then the sommelier, if I remember right, he would bring the actual bottle afterwards.
He would bring the bottle
Yeah,
afterwards.
set it on the table.
Set it on the table so you can see the name of the wine you're drinking.
Right. Because it was, like I said, it was a surprise. Like you didn't know what you were getting until you actually got it.
Mm-hmm.
Then the food course came out. Just like the wine, two people would bring your plate, set them down at the same time. They must have some kind of internal timer going on where they're like 1, 2, 3, drop it. It was
No,
pretty in sync. They were pretty in sync.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they practiced that enough to know how to read each other's body language.
We got our first course, and I'll show the menu here. I want to say that it was in that order, but I
Right.
think something may have been swapped in the order. The order that you're going to see on the menu, I don't remember if that's the exact order that we got the
Yes.
course. Was it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The first course, if I remember correctly, was the
Tuna.
yes. What was the one that had the flower petal on it?
That
And
was
this is
whatever
a
the
couple
one that we
weeks
could,
ago.
the one with the pine nuts.
Yeah, because the one that had the like melon, that had the tuna belly underneath.
Because you couldn't see it.
Yeah, you couldn't see it. Anyway, first and foremost, let's just say this. Everything we ate was great.
Phenomenal. It's not the top of the line when it comes to price, but
It's up there.
it's up there. And it was well worth it because of the experience, because of how flavorful the food was. Also, the combination of ingredients that the chef put together. So, like he said, the ice cream and nori seaweed, you would not have thought those two things went together, but they did. And you take one bite and you can taste all the flavors of the saltiness, the sweetness,
The spiciness of
the wasabi. Yeah, so you got a little bit of all of those things. Well, we didn't have wine. Did we have wine at that time? Because they were bringing stuff.
Everything we had wine with
Okay.
it. Yeah, everything we had. So of course, drinking the wine, I don't remember, what
We don't know.
all the wine was good. There was
Yeah.
one especially good. Was it the dessert wine?
The dessert wine.
Yeah.
Because the way they paired the dessert with the ice cream and I think it was a little
Was
tart.
it the tart? Yeah.
The wine did not become bitter.
It had sweetness to it when we first tasted it.
Yes.
Then they brought the course out, and then we tried it with the dessert
Dessert,
course, and it was even more sweet, if I remember right.
It was more sweet probably to you, but
Yeah.
it was a lighter sweetness to me.
Yeah, it tasted different, but better.
Yeah. It wasn't, like I said, bitter.
Yeah. So I do want to say that one of the courses was the lamb. Never would have thought that pairing should taste as good as it did.
No, absolutely not.
It didn't even look, from a look standpoint, it looks like, this looks kind of ordinary. That is not
I
how it
would
tasted.
not say it looked ordinary, but it was plated very well, and the combination of the ingredients on the plate went well together.
Yeah. Now let's talk about, because all the wine was great, all the food was fantastic. The silverware was great. It was like heavy and nice, and the service at this restaurant,
Impeccable.
you can't. We haven't had an experience like this ever. The way that the staff in this restaurant treated us and everyone else, from what we could tell, it was amazing. If you just put your hands on the arms of your chair, like you're going to stand up, someone was watching. And I was watching them as they were working. They would roam around the restaurant, especially if they weren't like already bringing a drink or a plate to someone. They were watching everyone. And if they saw someone go to stand up, one of the staff would see it and go directly towards the bathroom.
The way he started off, I'm sure y'all was like, they was watching everyone.
Yeah, they were.
But the
But
way
they were keeping they were watching you in a way that you would like for someone to be watching you at an establishment like this.
to provide great service.
Exactly.
Because the way he started off,
It's
was like everybody watching you, like, okay, what you doing? You leaving? You trying to get away?
No, it wasn't like
it was basically to provide excellent service.
Yeah. At the moment that you needed something, someone was there.
Yeah.
When you stood up, someone would go directly to the restroom and hold the door open for you. That person would, open the door, and maybe someone else would come and take your napkin, refold it, place it on the table for you. And then when you came back out of the restroom, someone was there to pull your chair out for you.
That's top-notch service.
And even the water. Remember, like, you had still water and I had sparkling water.
Yeah, it's a glass. It's almost like a short wine glass without a stem. There's a difference. If you're not really paying attention, you wouldn't be able to tell how they can tell one person has still water and the other person has sparkling water. But the still water glass was more slim, and the one he had was a little more stout.
Yeah, and like you said, you weren't paying attention. You would have never known, because at first I was like, how did they know that I had still water? Because two people would come and fill up our water of service. One person would fill up hers on her side of the table, another one would fill up mine on my side of the table. It was always right. They never mixed it up.
Right. I mean, even if it was one person, they still knew.
Yeah, and at first I was like, how did they even know that I had still and I had sparkling, you had still? And LaShawn said, well, look at the glasses. They're slightly different. That was the only difference. Because the people that would fill up our glass aren't the ones who originally filled up our glasses to begin with.
But they have a system.
But how do they know? They have a system.
And that's why they took one of the glasses. There was glasses already on the table.
Oh, yeah.
They took one glass and brought another one.
Yeah.
Attention to detail.
Yeah. The experience there was absolutely a 10 out. The food was 10 out of 10, but the experience was like an 11 out of 10. I would absolutely recommend Restaurant Showw if you're in Amsterdam and you want that Michelin, the Michelin star experience that you might expect, that you might see on TV or something like that. You feel like, you're James Bond or something. It has that kind of feel to it. The kitchen was open. You could see the chefs back there working. They were making the butter.
They were getting it ready. So they were whipping the butter to make it soft and pliable for your bread.
Yeah.
The bread came out warm. We had two different types of bread. The first one I think it was more of a French roll.
Yeah, I remember.
Like, sort of like a baguette, but amazing.
And I know we were saying like, man, we should get some more of this bread. That was awesome. And it was worth the price. I'll put it up here. Keep in mind that price does include that €100 deposit. But I will say, as for something as a special experience for us, it was our anniversary trip. It was absolutely worth it. They put on a show.
So in all, sweetheart, over the 3 restaurants that we went to 3 of the Michelin star restaurants. How would you rate them, and why did you rate them the way you did?
I might have to say that Amaya overall takes the food ribbon here, because Amaya has some absolutely fantastic dishes that we wish we could have recorded, but we couldn't in that restaurant.
Okay.
But just barely beating out Showw. Like, just barely. And I think it's because we might have had more courses or just more food out of Maya. I can't remember. But there was 2 dishes out of Maya in particular that
stood out.
Yeah, they stood out over anything that we may have ever eaten. And then the biryani towards the end, food, Amaya, Showw, and then Shea Bruce. Even though Shea Bruce was great too. First of all, I want to say that none of them were subpar in any way. But if I'm just going by like best dishes and most memorable, and Shea Bruce, I want to say that maybe not the most fair comparison, because we went for lunch. And the other 2 restaurants, we went for dinner. So we had more courses for those restaurants. But if I'm going by exactly what we experienced, then I would say Amaya, Showw, Shea Bruce.
Okay, so now service-wise.
Service, Showw, hands down.
Mm-hmm.
Then probably Shea Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
And then Amaya. Here's to say again, none of them were bad. Just going in order of best to, not as best. And that was Showw, Shea Bruce, Amaya.
Okay. I would agree with you with the food, Amaya, because the dishes wowed us. Like, oh my gosh, that is so good. We had scallop and oyster. We had lamb there. We had biryani. We had some type of chicken tandoori, I think.
Yeah.
But it was a lot. It was different. Again, like you said, we went to dinner for two and one for lunch. So I would agree with Amaya being the first in the food choice, then Show, and then Shea Bruce. And of course, like you said, none of them were bad at all.
Yeah.
It was just, for me, the wow factor when it came to taste for the food, Amaya stood out more so than Show did. But Show was great, and so was Shea Bruce. Service wise, I agree. Show is number one, top of the list, and then Shea Bruce and Amaya.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why Amaya is number three on the service, it was very busy.
Yeah.
And I mean, they were moving, trying to accommodate a lot of people. They were trying to accommodate
Big parties and
right.
It was a big restaurant with a lot of people, a lot of
A
stuff
lot
going
of
on.
people. But of course, like we said, the service with Amaya was very busy that night. All of the restaurants were amazing.
Price point for all of them, there was from most to least. It was Show, Amaya, then Shea Bruce.
Yeah.
But like I said, Shea Bruce
Bruce
was
was in lunch.
It was lunch special.
So that's why.
That's why it was less.
Yeah.
If we're ever in London again,
Or
or
Amsterdam.
Amsterdam, we would definitely recommend or visit those same three restaurants. I mean, obviously, we tried something different.
Yeah.
But if we would, hey,
I mean, there are
can you
other
recommend
Michelin
a place?
stars.
Yeah, if someone said, "Can you recommend a place that you've been to?" We would definitely say
Those
Amaya,
three.
Shea Bruce, and Show. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we just wanted to give you our little take on the Michelin star restaurants we went to. You can order a la carte. It doesn't have to be the tasting menu.
That's our review of Show Restaurant and our overall comparison for all three Michelin star restaurants that we went to. We hope you enjoyed it. If this information was helpful, please hit the like button, share it, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and we'll be back real soon. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
All right.